Hello, hello, hello. This is your host, Lisa Lajoie, and I am really happy to be sharing some great news with you. For those of you that are fans of From Misfit to Mystic, I have made a big up-leveling change and changed the name of my radio show to Unstoppable Consciousness. And I wanted to share a little bit about why I did that and just let you know that same person, same host, same experience will be continuing. But I changed the name of the show because I recognize that From Misfit to Mystic is who I used to be. And although I love it and it means so much to me, and it really is about going from feeling out of place into finding your true majesty and, and becoming that true mystical being that you are inside, exploring your gifts, understanding where you really belong, and exposing your light into the world. Unstoppable consciousness is really the level of my work today and the embodiment of the people that I'm talking to. I wanted to step into my alignment today to share and focus in the way that I actually do my work in the world now and do a little upgrade on myself as it was called forward to me a while back. And I took a lot of time and energy and just to explore what my discomfort was and from misfit to mystic and why it didn't feel like it fully fit. And I recognized that this is who I was. This is not who I am. And it's important that when we upgrade, that we also upgrade ourselves in every way. So this aligns with so much who I am, the work that I do, and the people that I want to continue talking to on the podcast. Becoming unstoppable has really been one of the most important things in my life experience, in the sense of just never giving up, of understanding the spiritual truth of this embodiment of being a human being in the world and becoming the light that we are and showcasing the ability to make choices, to become conscious, to understand how to be co-creators at a very high level way. And that's what consciousness really is. It's about being conscious as a human, as a spirit, as a being, as a doing, as a business owner, as a mother, as a father, as a child, as a worker, as a co-worker, as an entrepreneur, really understanding who you are at this conscious level of awareness and being able to put that forth into the world in that unstoppable way. And whatever that means, whatever level that is for you. So this is the reason that we made the change. It was very important to me because I had this calling a while back and I put a lot of time and energy and thought, meditation, communication with my own spirit, my consciousness, and to make sure that this fit before I made the change. And so here we are. I've made the change and I'm very excited to get to work and to come forward again and bring all the guests that were kind of waiting for me to complete the journey that I'm on with my podcast and step into this new place and be able to expose even more deeply and completely how to help you in becoming all that you are, to help you become conscious, to help you become unstoppable through what we share and limitless by launching your light into the world and recognizing how absolutely incredible you are and how incredible all of you is. My goal in life is to help people understand the all of who they are, not just the human self, but also the spiritual self, and also, the aspects of you that are true gifts inside of your internal nature, and to upgrade your thinking and your feeling and your focus so that you can become that which you're gifted to become in this world in a very, very enhanced and quality type way. I love the work that I do. I love sharing with people. I've learned that when you become masterful in your talents and in your gifts, it's so important to share it and to share it with others and to teach others how to uproot themselves. Part of my podcast, which is interesting for me, and it's something that's very important, is to highlight people and their talents and their gifts and how they went from where they were to where they are in this moment in time. And I love the vulnerability that gets pulled from the shows, and I plan on continuing to bring that forward because it's very important to me to be able to help people understand that vulnerability is the victory. And through our vulnerability, we actually can become victorious in our lives because we're willing to see what's really going on, even though it makes us uncomfortable, makes us sweat, makes us feel vulnerable in a way that is uncomfortable. But through the path of vulnerability, through the path of being in truth, through the path of that opportunity of seeing what is as it is, the transformations come, and the true transformation of self can come. I've had this example a lot recently, being busy and out in the world, and the last few months of my life, which is so crazy and real and true. And I wanted to share a little bit, as we move towards unstoppable consciousness and what it means. And I want to share why this is so important to me and why I created this whole VIP experience. Like, the top level of my work is unstoppable consciousness. Like, that's where you get the full experience of the work that I've been doing for over 25 years now. And it's, you know, for me, that's absolutely thrilling. It's thrilling to be able to share and to understand the power of the gifts that I've developed over time and the lessons and the learning and everything my clients have taught me, everything that I've channeled as an intuitive, everything I've learned from being an entrepreneur that's really interested in up-leveling, upgrading, and sharing in the world, and being that pulse for people to hang on to so they can upgrade themselves and up-level themselves. And it's really interesting because the last few months, like this year for me, has been, I decided that I wanted to focus on creating new standards, new relationships with people, and to stop the leaky faucets in my life. Areas where, like, what I learned about myself is, as a healer, as a transformational agent and artist, I help people and I love people and I want to help them change. And that at times had become my identity in the past. And I realized, like, I became an overgiver. And I really just wanted people to help themselves and to learn about transformation and to be able to upgrade at this other level of consciousness. And consciousness is really about seeking the truth on all the layers of who you are, of the spectrum of every aspect of you, cosmically, personally, personality-wise, and as a human being, spiritually, and developing yourself from this level of truth and consciousness. And we talk about consciousness a lot. The truth is, for me, there's a lot of crap out there now because that's what happens in the world. People ride a wave, they were excited about a wave, but they don't have any experience about spirituality. So they're just talking about things they've read in books or this or that, but they don't have the experience of walking through the dark night of the soul, or they don't have the ability to go past the surface. There's just a lot of talk on the surface, and it's easy to create inspiration through words. It's not easy to actually walk somebody through a true transformation if you don't really know what you're doing yourself. And this is why I wanted to create the unstoppability process and that understanding of consciousness, because it's really important to know that words and what you learn needs action. It needs know-how. It needs practical sense. And, so the last year, I've decided, going back to what I was trying to share with all of you, I decided that I really wanted to learn about my leaky faucets, where I was leaking energy to people, places, and things where I needed to develop myself. And I started to observe the people that I was around. I started to observe where I felt drained. I started to observe where I was frustrated, and I was allowing myself to stay in frustration in certain relationships, working wise, friendships, colleagues. And I started to observe something really, really important, that when you're a giver or an overgiver, sometimes what you end up attracting into your life, and this was my case, is seeing at such a deep level a person's potential, because I'm really gifted at seeing that. I mean, that's my work. My work in the beginning with anybody is seeing the deep potential of a person. and knowing the depth of possibility from the spiritual perspective and realm as well, which means maybe I knew them from a past soul life experience, or there's a deep connection and probability for the future that I tap into. Not that it's absolutely going to happen, because we have free will, and our free will needs to be acknowledged in what we're doing. It needs to be part of the journey of choice. And so I started to observe my frustration as a pathway to understanding where I was overdoing it, trying to help people, grabbing their hand too far, too wide, too deep, and trying to pull them out of their dark shadows so that we could live in this potentiality together. And there's 2 or 3 relationships that I really took time observing and learning about. And this is not over the course, this is over the course of the last, year, I guess, around, right? And I made decisions and made some changes in myself because I could recognize my behavior, my desire to bring potentiality out was causing me to become very leaky in my energy, and it started to drain me and overwhelm me. And I wasn't getting what I needed. And in the end, what I recognized was part of being unstoppable is being surrounded by a team and a tribe of people who really have your best interests at heart, and that they can live at the highest level of truth. And the highest level of truth is not spewing out honesty and then not taking care of the other people around. And I recognized that wasn't holding myself in the highest regard, and I wasn't demanding respect. I was willing to negotiate myself a little bit because I was overgiving and living in potentiality and not living in my potential that I am experiencing today, and making sure that I was being honored and regarded in the highest way. And I know lots of you do that. So many people overgive because they see potential, and we have to step into a place of, well, I can't keep trying to instigate someone's potential to come out by giving and giving and giving and giving and giving. I have to see things for what they are and live in the truth. And one of my greatest mottos of transformation is the truth is the transformation, and seeing it for what it is, and not making up stories because you don't want to face your own truth. That's not what I'm talking about. Because this happens a lot. You have a conversation with somebody or a conflict with somebody, and this has happened to me a number of times. And I'm willing to have a truth talk, but the other person just wants to believe whatever story that they want to believe about themselves. They don't want to admit or confess to their own transformational needs or requirements to make the relationship work. That's happened a lot. And I've been that person too, where I've had to step into more truth and recognize, like, I'm not willing to transform, so I'm stuck in my own pattern and forcing it on somebody else's life experience. And I do my best never to do that today. I used to do that a long time ago before I had my own breakthroughs and my spiritual awakening at 23. I spent a heck of a lot of time trying to make people do what I wanted them to do, or forcing myself to do things that I didn't want to do because I wasn't willing to see the truth and make transformations that were required of me to live in the place that I wanted to get what I really felt I needed in my life. And I wanted this certain type of love, or a certain type of relationships, or a certain type of, experiences that I wanted to have. I wanted to trust people, but I wasn't willing to make the transformation back then. Well, I'm way past that now. And now, like, one of my strongest qualities, and yet the thing that causes people some of the highest frustrations, is wanting to have truth talks. So I don't respect people who run away from having honest conversations. I don't respect people who just dump truth out on other people and run away and don't actually want to listen to the other person. I don't, respect people who just want to have one-sided relationships, and as long as you're giving everything to them, they're happy, but they don't have to give anything to you respectfully. And when you have a conflict with them, they just run away and scream, cry wolf, and run. Getting into like, well, it's all about me, and it's all about me, and it's only about me, and they don't want to have those truth talks. So I realized this was a really big value for me. And that caused a couple of true breakdowns in relationships. But I'm going to tell you what happened to me during these times, especially in the last year or whatever, that I recognized I wanted appreciation to be strong in my life. And I also wanted to be a person that people could trust to hear the truth from, and that would attract people in my life who wanted to be in the truth too. And I created a new standard. People who can't talk about the truth and can't own their stuff, and the only person in their life that matters is them and their drama and their situations, those are really not my people. Those are not my people. My people are people who can step into the highest levels of truth, even the untapped truth, even where it's difficult and hard. They're still willing to go there with me. They're still willing to walk the road with me on their own choice. I stopped trying to reach out and grab people. I just let them show me who they want to be. And I'm really happy to be involved in relationships with people who want to live in the truth, have the highest levels of transformation, have honest talks, are willing to like step into higher levels of possibility from this place of I'm willing to say what I feel, and I'm also willing to hear what you feel. I have had some recent events where that was part of the journey for me, that I recognize that people want to, a couple of people in my life, they just want to hear themselves talk. They just want to do what they want to do. They don't want to actually talk about true, the nitty gritty stuff. Seeking the truth means you also want to listen to what other people's truths are. You don't just make it about you. You have enough courage and you have enough class to sit and listen to someone you call a friend who you say you love. And you listen to what they have to say about you. And you listen to how what you're doing makes them feel. And it's important. And recently it's crazy because this has happened over the course of the last few years, which has really been cool. Like I think emotional development in relationships with the self and other people is an incredible thing. And as I've upgraded myself and learned about my values, my standards, where I'm at, what I believe in, who I want to become as a person, how I want to express that and expose that out in the world, and how that infuses my work, I've let go of a lot. I've let go of and understood what my role in the world in my work is. Like as an example, back in the day, I did a lot of work on unworthiness. But my level is past that now. Unworthiness is part of the work because people who experience that need transformational help. And of course, as a coach, that's what I end up doing. Often that'll come up. But I'm looking in my work to help people activate inside them their true sense of spirituality and wholeness. And unworthiness is such a tiny, small part of the blockage of that development. I'm just working with another level of person at this point, and I want another level of experience in my life. So I've made these amazing choices. I've learned a lot. I'm very grateful that I have this open-mindedness to see the truth and be able to recognize that, this is what I'm really looking for in my life. I'm grateful that my heart and my mind are in alignment with who I am and what I need, and some of the people in my life that I absolutely adore are at this other level of power and incredible ability to help me see who I am and where I belong in the world. And I have some incredible friends in my life who are through the roof entrepreneurs who are just they blow me away with their ability, their kindness, their ability to think, to see truth, to dig deep into possibility, to upgrade, to up level, and to actually continue the journey of transformation. So they just continue in their becoming. And it's beautiful to have them in my life. And I'm very, very grateful. But because I have this variety of people in my life, I've also had to let things go and recognize that these are leaky faucet people, the ones that are pretending to talk about the truth, but they'll never sit down with you and actually have a real conversation and listen to what you have to truly say. They're just really worried about their own drama and their own experience. And it really is like an experience to go through recognizing somebody's just serving themselves, even though, they've said all these beautiful things to you about how much you mean to them, but when push comes to shove, the actions don't show up with the words. And just seeing it is interesting. And, today compared to who I was before I had my own spiritual awakenings and started to really develop my life and myself at 23 years old, which is like a long time ago now. The person I was then didn't even understand truth transformation, and even that I could say yes to more in my life and in my relationships and become a person who could actually have honest conversations and see myself in a conversation and say, yeah, I was an asshole. Yeah, I was a jerk. You know what? I wasn't nice in what I did. And also recognize when I've given somebody a lot and they're ungrateful for what I've done, or they're not going to show up to me in the way that I need to. They don't have the ability to regard me in the person that I am, and they're just going to spew their darkness on me and other people. And to be able to see that and know that and just lovingly say, listen, I'm not interested in the way you're living your life and the choices that you're making. And we don't match. Our values don't match, and I don't feel good about how this is going and what's going on, you know? And it's interesting. It's interesting because I've had really beautiful collaborations that turned a little bit ugly because of people's drama. And I've learned so much from these experiences, coaching relationships, working relationships, with my family, recognizing, when I play sports, even with the people there, and how some people who don't want you to rise. So they'll, people do this. They compete and they compare and they want to keep you down and they don't want you to over showcase them. They don't want to be overshadowed by you, or they recognize because they see you and then they recognize they're not where they need to be and they don't have the ability to show up the way you need them to show up, or that they don't know how to be the person that you see in them. And you're showing up in this powerful way and they're running away because they want to live in their drama. And the only way to live in the drama and keep the bullshit stories of and excuses and justifications going is to not have a conversation with you, because you're going to blow the truth through the roof as a person. You know what I mean? So it's easy to run away and hide in a corner and just make like, well, I'm safe over here and I'm just going to be around all this other stuff that's positive in my life. It's way more courageous and ballsy, and unstoppability comes from this place of being willing to have conversations that fucking hurt, that are difficult, that are transformative. It takes more courage to actually recognize how you hurt somebody else by your actions than it does to just make a story up about a person and go la 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 la, and then go live in a corner about who they are to you. You know what I mean? And to not recognize that the behaviors that we have really hurt other people. And everybody has the opportunity to grow, including myself. You know what I mean? Really including myself. But one of the things that I've learned that is the most important thing in relationships and collaborations, friendships, is to be able to sit in the truth vulnerably with somebody else and tell them how you really feel. And for them to actually regard what you're saying and listen to you and decide who they want to be, and vice versa. Being able to sit and listen to somebody and hear them say whatever they want to say. So one of the other lessons that's coming out for me that I want to share with you, which is really important, is when you overgive, and I've done this now twice I've had this experience 2 times. I overgave to the point and was swallowing what I really felt about a person because I was supporting them because they were under duress and stress. And 2 times I did that. And both times what happened is my feelings exploded at one point because I couldn't believe how I gave all this energy and the person didn't even acknowledge it, see it, and put me into circumstances and situations that caused me stress, that caused me to feel disregarded, disrespected, and drain my energy. Just drain me and drain me and drain me. And it's interesting because they didn't see on both sides, both times, they did not see the amount of energy I was holding space for them because I didn't say anything. And they don't have the capability of being unselfish to be able to see, wow, I really drained that person. I really drained their life. I was taking and taking and taking, not realizing they've been just holding space for me and trying to help me and putting their own feelings aside so that I could rise. And then I just keep asking for more and asking for more and asking for more and crossing lines of disrespect. And this has really been important to me. So my lesson in the last few weeks, and somebody I work with who I absolutely love and adore, who will be on the show shortly in the next couple of episodes, who you will love, and I'll when you see the episode, you'll realize that it's her. Helped me through some work we were doing on me together, that I was allowing disrespect in my life in a really big way. And I had to change that. And I had to start regarding myself with more respect and my energy and what I gave and how much I give. And this is my new decision, my new standard now. I will not be around people I can't tell the truth to about what I'm feeling, about how I'm experiencing them. And because I was, when I see somebody's not able to handle the truth and I love them, what I was doing was holding it back instead of just saying, you know what, you're really going overboard here. Or I'm feeling like, you're taking advantage of the situation, or I don't agree with your decisions in what you're doing, or how you're including me in conflicts and challenges, or I don't really fully understand why you don't see the amount of energy that I'm giving you and I'm holding space, or how come you don't even ask me how I'm doing about what you're doing? Why do you just think that I should just give you and give you and give you and give you, and you could just do whatever you want in my life without regarding the energy that you're taking? Or just saying, what, I don't really prefer what you're doing. One of my greatest teachings, one of my core teachings is to just be able to tell people, I don't prefer what you're doing. So my lesson is I contained it for too long, and then a person just went too far, and then I've exploded and gotten really fucking mad about what's gone on, because they don't really care about the situations or predicaments they're putting me in. Two or three times this has happened, but 2 times in particular that I've really learned some deep lessons from it. And this is, again, going back to why am I changing the show? Because this is what really matters to me. What really matters to me are these kinds of life lessons, becoming consciously aware and upgrading myself to this place. And to become unstoppable is to be able to know that you will continue to do the transformational work required for you to step into these new places in your life all the time. Not to just live in happy land and pretend everything's fine, which is what I learned about the 2 situations that I've been in the last year. Are both times the people were, I just want to live in happy land and be in la la land and live in denial about who I am and what I'm doing. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to keep taking for you, like a diva type of personality. And I was like, wow, this is not cool. And it's interesting because there was also that client situation, and one of them was a client, and it was crazy because I was like, wow, you really are, interestingly enough, feeling like it's totally okay to drain me as long and as far and as wide as you want to. So my standards, again, have changed. I've been, and I hope that I continue to grow throughout my entire experience as a human being for however long that's going to be. I really think it's, important for us to shed light on areas of darkness, personally, internally, in our life experiences, in our development. That's my body of work, bringing the soul into everything that we do, bringing the light into everything that we do, showcasing, the dark corners and the shadows of who we are, and being able to make transformations in them. And it's interesting because all I've done now is just made new standards and new decisions. And I'm, it's incredible how many beautiful people I'm attracting who are willing to play in the truth with me, and who are willing to ride the wave. And incredibly enough, some of those challenges have turned into healing opportunities, and some haven't. And, we've been able to step into true places of truth with some of those relationship conflict and challenges that I was telling you about. There's been powerful transformation, and some I've just have to walk away from. And I've just said, this is okay. Like, it's okay for a person to want to stay small. It's okay with me for people to want to hide. I don't have to pull them out of their darkness. They can do it on their own when they want to. And it's okay if they need to live in their happy bubble filled with denial. It's okay for them. I just choose not to live in that way, because that's not divine living. Spewing out words and not living up to them. Saying I'm important, saying I'm all these things and not living up to that. Declaring you're this type of person and that type of person, and you're really not when it comes to how you're treating me or another person, as an example. Or even if it's in a body of work, like a person exposing themselves and they're all this and all that, but really behind closed doors, they're not that person at all. It's in this day and age, it's really important, because it's easy for people to pretend in the social media world that we have today, to pretend there's something they're not. It's not easy to find real, raw people who are willing to be the person they say they want to be, who are willing to act in ways that live in the levels of truth that they're pretending to live in. And then you have an experience with them and realize that's not what it is at all. And it doesn't matter whether it's personally, emotionally, business, professionally, it doesn't really matter. When we're in relationships, becoming truly conscious is living and looking for and seeking people that are in the same level of truth as you are. It's a great way to pick relationships and put them into the different categories that you need to. I'm a firm believer. There's a variety of people with different shapes and sizes, and there's a place for everybody in our lives at different levels. But the true intimate relationships where consciousness comes and unstoppability comes, and where we rise the highest, is where there's the deepest truth, the deepest levels of vulnerability, the deepest levels of transformation come from being able to have those conversations with people where you can go, this is what it is. You know what I mean? And let's work through whatever it is, or having people in our lives that help us see the truth and are willing to say, hey, you're not what you're saying you are right now. You're not the person that you've been declaring to be. You're not showing up to yourself or your life in the way that you say you wanted to, or people that want to hold us accountable to our dreams and goals. For me, that's become really important. And so I started also working on, who am I in relationship to other people, and where am I settling, which is, I've shared in this episode and in this transformational opportunity ways that I've done that. Like, I recognized that I was holding my truth back, trying to help people reach a certain place so they could hear the truth. And I realized if I have to do that, then obviously these people that I'm saying are amazing in my life, that are trusted people in my life, obviously they're not, if they don't even want, if I don't find comfort in being able to share my truth and they're not able to handle it, obviously there's a discrepancy in the vulnerability in the relationship. So it's important that we are becoming, that we're constantly becoming. This is like the life that I've been teaching and living for over 20 years, is becoming is the key. And always seeking the becoming is the key. And being graced enough to live in that place of truth and honesty, and be able to see the opportunities that the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, brings into our lives through conflicts and challenges. You know what I mean? Like, and I see these as opportunities. Like, when things happen like that, I know God's just coming to say to me, hey, you need to see something here, because you won't see it without me showing you this conflict here. And this is really important. So I'm going to orchestrate a circumstance. I'm going to orchestrate a situation where you can see that this isn't what you thought it was. Even though it looked like it was, this isn't what you thought it was. And it's important to just take a look more deeply at what kind of situation you're in. And is this a really good colleague? Is this really a good employee? Is this really a good friend? Is this really a good family member? Is this really a good collaboration relationship? Are these really the people that are serving you in the highest way, and that you feel like you can serve in the highest way? Because the other key to this, which is extremely important, is if we don't feel like we can serve a person's life in a state of truth in the highest way. And what I'm talking about, you have to understand, it's very specific. I didn't share my truth with certain individuals that I was challenged by, because I knew they couldn't handle it. And every time I did try, there was a defensiveness that came, or a blank stare into space, like, I don't even get what you're saying. A lack of willingness to go with the flow and actually walk with me down a road of hearing where I'm feeling like they're not regarding me as a person, or where I'm not feeling it within the relationship, or that I'm not feeling the agreements that we've made in the business development, or that things aren't working out and I don't like certain stuff. Like, when a person isn't even willing to go there, doesn't that say everything about where they are? So I wasn't willing to recognize that, because these are, oftentimes I'll take on way too much responsibility, or I overgive to the point that I don't even realize that I'm making mistakes in my decisions, which now I've learned about and I feel so amazing about. And I can't wait to see where I go from here. And as I continue, like, every time we change, we attract new things, and it's really cool what's coming into my life at this point. It's really exciting, and I'm encouraged by it, and I'm like stoked, happy, really happy. I remember one time when I was years back, I learned something about myself, that I'm pretty straightforward, and that I have the ability to tell truth in a negative way that was harmful to other people. And I learned this years back, that I might have been too blunt and stuff like that. And now, 25, 30 years later, I think it's one of my greatest attributes to be willing to tell the truth. And the bluntness is really about the delivery, and being as open as I can to changing the delivery when necessary. But I also realized I took that too far. and I was overcompensating at times in certain situations, and that's not healthy, and it's not good for me to have to do that. My closest friends and the closest allies and colleagues that I work in my life, we need to be able to talk truth straight up. We need to be able to say this is going to work, this isn't going to work. We shouldn't have to be consoling one side of the emotions or the other. We need to be able to just talk things out. And if we can't do that, and I'm not dealing with a person who can do that because they're defensive and or over controlling or insecure and they hide in a corner or they're terrified or they just don't know how to really be honest, then that's just not the right kind of situation for the person that I am. Other people are really comfortable hiding in corners or not telling the truth or putting a pretend face on. That's not really my thing. And of course I've done it. I've just confessed that I did do that recently. In the last year, I've had to face this way of being with people close to me and had to change that. And I'm continuing to change that, and I'm continuing to learn. I'm going to close out the year with that lesson learned, and I'm excited about having that lesson learned and having new standards. So, my transformational friend who helped me understand I was disrespecting myself. I didn't feel like I could really trust people to respect me was the key understanding that I've had that has helped me now and moving me now into the upgrade. And I'm curious what yours are. Have you gone through those types of things? Are you struggling? What do you need to do? How can you also move through scan your relationships and ask yourself that fundamental question that I've been asking myself that has really been transformative. Are people regarding you in the way that you need them to? Are you disregarding yourself are you regarding yourself in the way that you need to? What are you doing with who you are? Because for me, what I learned is I was disregarding myself for other people's potential. I was disregarding myself to help other people because I knew they were stressed about what they were doing and I wanted to support them, or I wanted to be there for them, or I just loved them so much and I wanted to believe in their potential to a point that I was disregarding my truth, how they were really making me feel by what they were saying, how they were defending themselves, what they didn't want to hear that I had to say. I was swallowing who I am so they could feel good about who they are until that turned. Or it drained me to the point that I just couldn't take it anymore. This is my responsibility to make sure I don't get there. Are you doing that in your life in any way? Are you, and remember, this is like, I'm talking about intimate situations, not just anybody, because I have great boundaries in general with people. I'm talking about relationships that are, were very close to me in whatever way, employees, it doesn't matter, working relationships, colleagues, clients, people that I worked with for a while, situations that don't serve me, places where I was hiring them to do work with, like, venues, vendors, people that I was like, these are situations that I've really had to overview in every area of my life. And I think it's important that we do that. I think if you're an overgiver and you want to really lead your life consciously, you need to know where you're draining yourself and what relationships, collaborations, interactions that you are in that you can't be who you are and you're hiding yourself. Because we should always be able to tell the truth with the people that are the closest to us, even if we have to do it in a gentle way or if we have to do it in whatever way. We have to be able to feel like we can and we're going to be heard and understood, and the person on the other side cares. They don't just run away into a little corner and hide and blame you and shame you or whatever, or shame themselves and blame themselves for why things aren't working out. We need to be around people that can meet us at that level. And this is one of my greatest lessons at the level of intimacy that I'm talking about, which is so fucking awesome. I got to tell you, I feel so liberated in my heart, and I'm just looking forward to what's next, because I know when I make these great shifts, so much more is possible. And I'm grateful for that. And, all we can do really is assess if our interactions with those around us are working for us, and how and what do we need, and do we feel respected, and what do we need in respect to ourselves? Where do you need to be regarded? Where do you need to be heard, understood? Check it out. Take a look. Where are you draining your energy? Do your own assessment, please. It's going to change everything for you. And then we're looking for the pathway to move through that. So I'm really open, and I want you to just give me your comments and your questions so I can have more episodes so that I can answer and help you find the transformational roots. I can do blogs and audio conversations like this one to help you, but I can't do that if you don't speak. Use your voice, use your vulnerability. That's what's going to make us victorious together. That's what's going to help us rise together and illuminate the way to the place where you really are living in the highest level of yourself. I hope you enjoyed this. I never know. I just started running down this road. I hope you guys love the new name of my podcast and understand the reason behind, why I made this change, and that you support me. And I hope that I can continue to support you and honor you and just love you up. If you're looking for more information about what I do, you can check out my website, lisalajoie.mykajabi.com. And I can't wait to continue playing with you. And don't forget to leave your comments. Talk to me. I want to hear from you. And we'll talk really soon. Bye for now.